You said you were bringing a modern edge to it on stage. What do you mean by that?
I just mean that it's no longer 1937.
Yeah, Disney, once again, proving itself to be incompetent in the hiring of its talent. Rachel Zegler, what a trash person.
This should be just about the movie.
But this movie is bad.
What happens when a billion-dollar empire bets everything on a fairy tale, and the princess burns it all down? Rachel Zegler was supposed to be Disney's next Golden Girl, but instead of winning hearts, she sparked outrage, from mocking the original Snow White to stirring up political firestorms and throwing shade at her own co-stars. Now, with Disney quietly pulling the plug and fans demanding answers, one thing's clear: this wasn't just a PR misstep, it was a full-blown meltdown. And the silence from Disney, that might be the loudest part of all. Let's get into it. Number 1, the casting controversy. When Disney announced Rachel Zegler would play Snow White, the internet didn't just react, it exploded. The decision was meant to be a modern twist on a classic fairy tale, but it immediately clashed with the original description: skin as white as snow.
So the obvious point, I don't even know, am I allowed to say it? She's not white, but she should be. Snow White needs to be white.
That phrase isn't just a throwaway line, it's literally in her name. And for fans of the 1937 film, this casting felt like Disney was rewriting a legacy rather than honoring it. Zegler, a Colombian-American actress, is undeniably talented. She made waves in West Side Story and seemed poised to be the fresh face Disney needed. But this wasn't just about talent. It was about optics, symbolism, and branding. The backlash wasn't just from angry fans online, it was from longtime Disney loyalists who felt the company had abandoned the very essence of what made its classics timeless. Critics called it performative progress. They argued that Disney wasn't trying to represent, it was trying to provoke. Was this a bold leap toward inclusion, or a calculated move to ignite outrage for attention? What made things worse? Disney seemed completely unbothered. No clarification, no acknowledgement of the backlash. Instead, the studio doubled down, parading Zegler as the new face of Snow White while ignoring the storm brewing around her. And Rachel? Her response didn't help. Instead of easing tensions, she leaned into the controversy. But this was only the beginning, because next she came for the original Snow White itself. Number 2, Zegler's critique of the original film. Rachel Zegler didn't just accept the role of Snow White, she took aim at the entire legacy behind it. In multiple interviews, Zegler made her feelings crystal clear. She didn't like the original 1937 film. In her words, it was weird. She criticized the romantic plotline, mocked the prince as a stalker, and suggested the classic needed a total overhaul. Her tone, not respectful, not nostalgic, but dismissive, like the very thing she was hired to represent was beneath her.
She's not going to be saved by the prince, and she's not going to be dreaming about true love. She's dreaming about becoming the leader she knows she can be.
For fans who grew up on Disney's version of Snow White, it felt like a slap in the face. This wasn't just some random reboot. It was Disney's first animated feature, a film that literally built the foundation of the entire company. And here was the new lead, tearing it down in public, before the remake even had a trailer. Worse still, she doubled down on the idea that the remake would be nothing like the original, that Snow White wouldn't be saved by a man, and that the film would be rewritten to focus on leadership rather than love. In theory, fine, but in tone, Zegler made it sound like the original story was offensive, outdated, irrelevant, and laughable. That rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. The message was loud and clear. If you liked the old Snow White, you were part of the problem, but her disdain for the past wasn't the most dangerous move she made. That came when politics got personal, and one tweet changed everything. Number 3, political tensions and social media fallout. Rachel Zegler had already lit a match with her comments about Snow White, but what came next was pure gasoline. In the middle of the already brewing backlash, Zegler posted a Free Palestine message on social media.
Hey, don't get political, you're young.
While political activism isn't new for celebrities, the timing and the context were explosive. Why? Because her Snow White co-star, Gal Gadot, is not just Israeli. She served in the Israeli Defense Forces. The tension between them suddenly went from artistic to deeply political. Zegler's post immediately divided the internet. Supporters applauded her for taking a stand. Critics slammed her for being insensitive and stirring up division, but it didn't stop at tweets and hashtags. According to reports, Disney had to increase security around both actresses after death threats started pouring in, mainly directed at Gadot. The public didn't forget either. Many pointed out that Zeglar, while promoting a family film, was now entangled in one of the most polarizing geopolitical issues of our time. And with kids as the primary audience, parents started asking the hard questions. Is this what Disney stands for now? Zeglar remained silent after the post, offering no clarification, no follow-up. But behind the scenes, insiders claimed the fallout between her and Gagot was immediate and irreversible. What was once supposed to be a powerful female-led film had turned into a silent war between its leads. But Zeglar didn't just clash with Gagot behind the scenes, she made it very clear who she didn't respect, even on set. Number 4. On-set feuds and public spats.
I think it's fair to say that no one on the right side of America can stand the star of this movie.
If you thought the drama ended with the tweets, think again. Behind the glittering PR campaigns and carefully edited press tours, things were unraveling fast. And this time, it was personal. Sources close to the production began leaking that the relationship between Rachel Zegler and Gal Gadot had completely deteriorated. The final straw? Zeglar reportedly referred to Gagot as a professional pageant queen in a private conversation that didn't stay private for long. The comment spread quickly, and fans instantly picked up on the shade, accusing Zeglar of jealousy, unprofessionalism, and straight-up disrespect. From that point on, it was clear. The two stars weren't even pretending to like each other. Press appearances were scheduled separately. Red carpets had to be coordinated so they didn't overlap. And during interviews, Zeglar noticeably dodged any mentions of her co-star. The tension was thick and impossible to hide. Even cast and crew insiders hinted at an icy atmosphere during production. One anonymous source said there was no camaraderie on set, just egos clashing and a lot of eye rolls when the cameras weren't rolling. Worse, fans started noticing Zeglar's growing attitude in public. In one now viral clip, she laughed maniacally inside an empty theater after critics panned her performance, seemingly mocking both the film and the backlash surrounding it. People weren't just disappointed anymore, they were angry. But while her behavior raised eyebrows, it was the box office numbers that really dropped jaws. Number 5. Box office bomb and financial fallout. Disney poured over $270 million into Snow White. That's not a small gamble, it's an empire-sized bet. But when opening weekend came around, the numbers didn't lie, and they were brutal. The film grossed a dismal $88 million globally.
Progressive publications really had nothing nice to say about it. It seems nothing will save this disaster.
For a brand that used to dominate the box office, this wasn't just a loss, it was an embarrassment. A humiliating reminder that Disney's golden touch was slipping fast, and fans weren't buying the usual excuses. This wasn't about superhero fatigue or post-pandemic theater slumps. This was about Snow White, a name so iconic it practically sells itself. So why did audiences stay away? Critics pointed fingers in every direction, but Rachel Zegler was at the center of it all. From alienating the fan base to slamming the original story to sparking controversy online, she had managed to sour the film before it even premiered. And the worst part? It wasn't just the fans who noticed. Disney investors started speaking out. Social media was filled with angry threads demanding accountability. Who approved this version? Who let Zegler take the lead without vetting her public image? Why did no one intervene when the marketing went off the rails? Some even said the stockholders should sue, accusing Disney of prioritizing politics over profits. And while Rachel Zegler kept smiling in interviews, the industry was already sharpening its knives and looking for someone to blame. Number 6, industry backlash and scapegoating.
All the little people making videos saying, well, wait, there's so few roles for us in Hollywood, we're being passed over for this?
With the box office numbers crashing and public sentiment circling the drain, the knives came out, and Rachel Zegler was first on the chopping block. Jonah Platt, son of Snow White producer Mark Platt, didn't hold back. In a now viral post, he slammed Zegler for being narcissistic, claiming she disrespected the film, the fans, and even her own cast. According to Jonah, Zegler torpedoed the movie before it even had a chance. And he wasn't alone. Whispers from Hollywood insiders suggested Zegler had become the cautionary tale of 2025. She made it all about her, one source allegedly said. It stopped being about the story and became a spectacle, one she controlled and one Disney couldn't escape. Suddenly, everyone had a theory. Some said Zeglar was too young and inexperienced to handle the pressure. Others claimed Disney set her up to fail by throwing her into a politically loaded film without media training or PR guardrails. A few even believed she wanted the controversy, for attention, for clout, for chaos. But here's the twist. While the industry was ready to crucify her, a different narrative started quietly forming online. Was Zeglar really the villain, or was she the scapegoat for a failing system? A studio obsessed with messaging over magic. The blame game was heating up. But not everyone was ready to turn their back on her. Number 7. Celebrity support amidst the storm. Just when it seemed like the entire industry had turned on Rachel Zegler, a surprising wave of support began to rise, and it came from some unexpected places. Ariana Grande, one of the biggest names in pop, posted a cryptic Instagram story that fans quickly interpreted as a nod to Zegler. They love to build us up, just to tear us down. Stay soft, stay strong. Subtle, but telling. Then came Melissa Barrera, who had recently faced her own backlash in Hollywood, publicly praising Zegler for standing tall in a storm of hypocrisy. This wasn't just sympathy, it was solidarity. Suddenly, Rachel was no longer the reckless actress who tanked a billion-dollar film. She became a symbol of what happens when young women speak up, push boundaries, and don't conform to the sweet, silent image the industry wants them to maintain. Supporters argued that she was being punished not for what she did, but for refusing to play nice. Fans, especially on TikTok and X, formerly Twitter, rallied behind her. They posted mashups of Zegler's best performances, dissected her interviews for misinterpreted quotes, and even started a Justice for Rachel Zegler hashtag. The narrative was starting to shift. Not fully, but just enough to complicate the backlash. Rachel wasn't out of the woods, but she wasn't alone either. Still, none of the support could change what Disney did next. Because quietly, without saying a word, the company made a move that said everything. Number 8. Disney's silent retraction and future implications. No press conference, no bold announcement, just a quiet erasure that felt louder than any public statement could have been. As the controversy spiraled and the film's numbers flatlined, Disney began pulling back. Fast. Major marketing campaigns were scrapped. International promotions went mysteriously dark. The once-hyped global premiere canceled without explanation. Even the film's official social media pages grew eerily quiet, as if the company wanted to pretend it never happened. To those paying attention, the message was crystal clear. Snow White had become a liability. And Rachel Zegler, she was being distanced from the brand she was once meant to lead. Insiders say the studio was blindsided by how fast things unraveled. The original plan was to launch a new era of progressive princesses, with Zegler at the forefront. But the backlash was too loud, too relentless, and far too tied to the film's star. Executives began treating the entire project like a bad headline they couldn't shake. Rumors now swirl that future Disney live-action remakes are on hold. Some speculate the company will avoid politically charged casting and commentary altogether. Others say it's too late, that Disney's once unshakable reputation has finally cracked under the weight of its own contradictions. In the end, Disney didn't need to issue an apology. Their silence said it all. And for Rachel Zegler, the question now isn't just what went wrong. It's can she come back from it? Because fairy tales might promise happy endings, but Hollywood rarely does. Rachel Zegler was supposed to lead a fairy tale. She ended up in a firestorm. Whether she was reckless or just real, one thing's clear. Disney's silence wasn't just damage control, it was a quiet admission that something went very, very wrong. Was she the villain or just the scapegoat? You decide.